The room was silent except for the machines. Not peaceful silence. The kind that presses against your ears. The kind that waits for something to go wrong. Ji-ho lay motionless beneath dim amber lights, chest rising in shallow, uneven bursts. Tubes ran from his mouth. Wires spidered across his skin. The man who once ruled half of Seoul's underworld with nothing but a glance now couldn't lift a finger. Couldn't speak. Couldn't even open his eyes. Then the monitors spiked. A sharp alarm cut through the quiet. Heart rate climbing. Oxygen dropping. Breath stuttering. 2 guards outside the room froze. One reached for his radio. The other looked at the door, then back at the screen, unsure what to do first. Inside, only one person moved. Amara. She was supposed to be invisible. A maid. A cleaner. Someone meant to enter rooms without being remembered. But the second the alarm screamed, she was already at Ji-ho's bedside. No, she whispered, sharp and focused. Stay with me. Her hands moved fast, not frantic, not clumsy, precise. Controlled. She checked his airway. Tilted his head. Adjusted the oxygen flow before the machine could compensate. Ji-ho felt it. Not the hands. The voice. His consciousness flickered like a dying bulb, and through the darkness, he heard her before he saw her. Calm. Commanding. Unmistakably in control. Pressure's dropping, she said, not to the guards, to herself. He's obstructing. One guard finally rushed in. We need medical. Not yet, Amara snapped. The guard stopped. Actually stopped. Ji-ho noticed that, even through the fog, because no one ever stopped when told by staff, they obeyed doctors. Surgeons. Him. Not maids. She adjusted the ventilator manually. Slid her fingers beneath his jaw. Pressed in a way no one had taught household staff to do. His breathing stabilized. The alarm softened. Silence rushed back in. Ji-ho's heart was still pounding, not from fear, but from confusion. Because the woman saving his life wasn't behaving like someone who should be allowed near him at all. She didn't tremble. Didn't apologize. Didn't call for permission. She simply worked like someone who had done this before. Many times. Ji-ho wanted to open his eyes. Wanted to speak. Wanted to demand answers. But he couldn't move. So he watched. Through slitted vision, he saw her face for the first time that night. Calm. Focused. Unafraid. Her eyes scanned the room, not him, the exits. The corners. The shadows. Then he saw the scar. Thin. White. Horizontal across her wrist. Not an accident scar. A blade scar. Her breathing never changed. Her hands never shook. Her pulse never raced. She leaned closer, voice low, controlled, and whispered something in Korean. Perfect Korean. Not yet, she said. Stay with me. Ji-ho's mind screamed. No maid should sound like that. No maid should move like that. No maid should know how to save his life. And yet, he survived because of her. The most feared man in Seoul, the man who ordered deaths with a nod, was alive only because the woman cleaning his room refused to let him die. As consciousness pulled him back into darkness, one terrifying realization settled into his chest. For the first time in his life, someone scared him more than his enemies. Because the woman who just saved Ji-ho's life wasn't supposed to know how. The man known as Ji-ho did not wake up to silence. He woke up to fear. Not his own, but everyone else's. Fear lived in the way nurses lowered their voices when they entered his recovery suite. In the way guards stood straighter when his eyes opened. In the way even doctors avoided lingering eye contact when explaining procedures, as if too much honesty might offend him. Ji-ho had ruled entire districts from behind glass walls and closed doors. Men twice his size had bowed their heads when he spoke. Enemies had fled cities at the sound of his name. And now, reduced to a hospital bed, body weakened, breath assisted, he still carried the gravity of power. Except one person didn't. Amara. She entered the room every morning at exactly 6:10 a.m., pushing a quiet cleaning cart with steady hands. No hesitation. No flinch when guards scanned her. No nervousness when she crossed the invisible boundary around his bed, the one everyone else treated like sacred ground. She didn't look at him the way others did. Not with fear. Not with awe. Not with calculation. She looked at him like he was human. And somehow, that unsettled him more than hostility ever could. The first thing Ji-ho noticed was how quiet the room felt when she arrived. Not peaceful, controlled. She adjusted the blinds before the sunlight hit his eyes. Lowered the lights when his pulse ticked upward. Shifted the temperature before his skin prickled with discomfort. She moved through the space like someone who already knew the outcome of every variable. Like someone who had been here before. He started waking earlier just to watch her. Not because he trusted her. Because he didn't. She anticipated his needs before he spoke them. Adjusted his pillows before he felt the ache. Silenced machines before they alarmed. And sometimes, strangest of all, she turned her head toward him seconds before his vitals dipped, as if she sensed the shift before the monitors could. Ji-ho noticed everything. He just pretended not to. One morning, a nurse whispered to another outside the room, "How does the maid know when?" "She doesn't," the other replied nervously. "Don't say things like that." But Ji-ho heard it. And for the first time, he didn't dismiss it. He tested her that afternoon. "Don't touch that," he snapped when she reached toward the foreline. She didn't freeze. Didn't apologize. Didn't step back. She looked at him calmly and said, "It's occluding. You'll feel dizzy in 30 seconds if I don't." He scoffed. "You're a maid. And you're about to faint," she replied gently and adjusted the line anyway. 30 seconds later, the room tilted. Ji-ho hated the way his body betrayed him. Hated the way she didn't even look surprised. "What training do you have?" he demanded once his vision steadied. She shrugged. Enough. That answer should have irritated him. Instead, it disturbed him. Most people over-explained around him. Tried to impress him. Tried to justify themselves. Tried to make themselves smaller or bigger depending on what they thought he wanted. Amara didn't either. She simply existed. And somehow, that made her dangerous. Still, he told himself she was just competent. Some people were. Some people moved well under pressure. Some people had calm temperaments. He chose comfort over suspicion. At night, the nightmares came. He didn't talk about them. Didn't tell the doctors. Didn't admit how often he woke drenched in sweat, heart racing, convinced he was suffocating again, convinced the machines were failing, convinced he was about to die alone. But Amara noticed. She always did. She would appear quietly at his bedside before he called out. Sometimes before he even moved. She'd sit without asking. Adjust his pillows. Lower her voice. "You're safe," she'd say. "Breathe with me." And somehow, impossibly, his chest obeyed her. One night, half lucid and shaking, he grabbed her wrist. She didn't pull away. Didn't stiffen. Didn't look alarmed. She simply covered his hand with hers and waited for his breathing to slow. That was the night something shifted. Not trust. Dependence. And dependence scared him more than enemies ever had. The guards started whispering. "She's always here. She moves like security. She doesn't act like staff." The doctors noticed too. One asked, "Why does she know the machines better than my interns?" Ji-ho shut it down immediately. "She's just observant," he said. "She's just competent. She's just a maid." And the way he said it, sharp, final, made it clear he didn't want the question asked again. Because questions led to answers. And answers led to consequences. And Ji-ho didn't want consequences. Not when the first person who'd touched him without fear since the attack was the same woman who whispered him through panic in the dark. Still, there were moments. Small ones. Wrong ones. He caught her murmuring to herself in Korean, flawless, unaccented, while adjusting his medication. He noticed her eyes always tracked exits. Not casually. Tactically. He saw how her shoulders never fully relaxed. Not even when she smiled. Especially not then. Once, when a junior guard startled her from behind, she turned too fast, instinctively, her hand already moving toward her waist before she stopped herself. Ji-ho saw it. She saw that he saw it. Their eyes locked. For half a second, neither moved. Then she smiled politely and stepped back. "Sorry," she said. But her pulse never spiked. Ji-ho told himself he imagined it. Told himself he was projecting. Told himself trauma sharpened perception into paranoia. And maybe that was true. Because he liked her. That was the part he refused to acknowledge. Not attraction. Not romance. Something more dangerous. Relief. She didn't look at him like a king. Didn't treat him like a monster. Didn't treat him like a patient. She treated him like a person. And when you've been feared your entire life, being seen without judgment feels like oxygen. One night, during a storm, the power flickered. Lights dimmed. Machines hummed unevenly. Ji-ho's pulse spiked immediately. Not because of the outage, but because he saw panic ripple through the staff. Except Amara. She was already moving. Already checking backups. Already calm. Already steady. You planned for this, he muttered. She glanced at him. I plan for everything. Something in her voice made his chest tighten. You talk like a soldier, he said. She smiled faintly. I talk like someone who hates surprises. Again, not wrong. But not right. And he hated how much he wanted to ask more. But didn't. Because suspicion threatened comfort. And comfort was the only thing he had left. By the end of the week, he no longer asked for the nurses at night. He asked for her. By name. Amara. And she always came. Never late. Never rushed. Never surprised. Just present. The guards noticed. The doctors noticed. The staff whispered more. She's close to him. He trusts her. That's dangerous. Ji-ho ignored it all. She's just a maid, he repeated. But he stopped believing it. Quietly. Privately. And still, he did nothing. Because something about her felt like stability in a life built on chaos. Because when she spoke, his heart slowed. Because when she touched his hand, the room felt quieter. Because when she looked at him, he didn't feel feared. He felt seen. And that felt better than power ever had. Directed Ari Love Beyond, viewer connection moment. Before we continue, if you're already feeling the tension between Amara and Ji-ho, if you sense something deeper beneath her calm and his suspicion, go ahead and like this video to let us know you're hooked. And comment below. Backhand index pointing eye, do you trust Amara, or do you think Ji-ho is right to be uneasy? Subscribe to Ari Love Beyond for more stories where love, danger, and secrets collide in ways you'll never expect. Now, let's continue. The first time Ji-ho truly felt unsettled wasn't during a medical episode. It wasn't during a nightmare. It wasn't during a panic attack. It was during a phone call. He'd woken early, too early, before dawn softened the windows. The room was dim. Quiet. Machines steady. He heard movement near the door. Amara. She hadn't noticed he was awake. She stood near the corner, phone pressed to her ear, voice low, not hushed, but controlled. Not yet, she said. Flawless Korean. Perfect tone. No hesitation. No accent. He's not ready. Ji-ho's chest tightened. Not ready for what? She turned suddenly, sensing him. Their eyes locked. Her expression didn't change. Not fear. Not guilt. Not surprise. Just calm. And for the first time since waking from the coma, Ji-ho felt something colder than pain crawl up his spine. Because Amara, the maid, wasn't supposed to know his language. And she definitely wasn't supposed to sound like she was reporting on him. The first breach happened quietly. Too quietly. Ji-ho only noticed because his doctor stopped mid-sentence during a routine checkup and stared at the tablet in her hands as if it had betrayed her. These records, she muttered. They shouldn't be accessible. Ji-ho felt the shift instantly. Not fear. Awareness. What records? He asked. She hesitated. Your neurological imaging. Recovery projections. Medication tolerances. Who accessed them? We don't know yet. Ji-ho didn't blink. Find out. She nodded quickly and left the room, pulse visibly elevated. Amara stood near the window, hands folded behind her back, gaze scanning the street below. Her reflection barely moved as traffic passed, shadows sliding across the glass. You hear that? He asked casually. She turned. Hear what? Someone accessed my files. Her expression didn't change, but her eyes sharpened. How long ago? He clocked it instantly. Not what. Not who. When. An hour, he said. She nodded once. then they already have what they wanted. Something in her certainty made his chest tighten. That night, 3 cameras malfunctioned. Not shut down. Not destroyed. Redirected. Each one feeding static to the security room for exactly 90 seconds, long enough for someone to cross 2 corridors and disappear into a blind spot. Ji-ho's head of security nearly choked on his own frustration. Impossible, he said. These systems are isolated. Ji-ho said nothing, because Amara had predicted it. Not out loud. But earlier that afternoon, she'd asked the guards to reposition a cart casually away from the east corridor. Why? One had asked. Foot traffic's about to spike, she'd said. It hadn't. Until the cameras failed. Ji-ho started watching her more closely after that. Not overtly. Not enough to alert her. But enough. He tested her with small things. What wing am I in again? He asked one morning, pretending confusion. West Tower. Level 4, she replied instantly. That's not what the nurse said. She's wrong, Amara said calmly. You were moved 2 days ago after the fire alarm false positive. Ji-ho stared at her. That wasn't in my chart. She paused, just for half a second. Then smiled. You're right. But didn't explain. Later, he asked, what's the emergency protocol if the power grid fails? She answered before he finished the sentence. Manual ventilation override. North stairwell evacuation. Backup generator in subbasement. Ji-ho exhaled slowly. Who taught you that? She met his eyes. Life. Not the answer of a maid. Still, he didn't confront her. Because every instinct told him to push. And every emotion told him not to. He didn't want her to be dangerous. He wanted her safe. Wanted her harmless. Wanted her exactly what she appeared to be: calm, steady, reliable, the one thing in his life not layered with threat. So instead of pulling away, he leaned closer. Instead of assigning another caregiver, he insisted on her. Instead of questioning her authority, he deferred to it. And somehow, impossibly, the more danger grew around him, the more he trusted her. That was the contradiction. That was the trap. The vehicles appeared 2 days later. Black sedans. Tinted windows. Parked just beyond the perimeter of the medical compound, always rotating. Never the same license plates. Never the same angles. Security flagged them. Ji-ho felt the shift immediately. Someone wasn't watching anymore. Someone was waiting. Then the message arrived. Not a threat. Not a demand. Just a single image sent to a secure internal line. A photo of Ji-ho's recovery suite, taken from outside the building. Timestamped. From that morning. Someone had eyes on him. Inside the room, Amara went still when he showed her. Who do you think it is? He asked. She studied the image longer than necessary. Then said, someone patient. Patient enough to wait for what? For you to weaken. Ji-ho swallowed. That night, his head of security brought confirmation. Rival syndicate, he said. Eastern Circle. They've been moving in your territory since the attack. Ji-ho's jaw tightened. How close are they? Too close. Amara stood near the wall, arms folded, silent. Any internal breaches? Ji-ho asked. None confirmed. But the cameras. The files. The vehicles. None of it felt random. Someone wasn't just watching Ji-ho. Someone was inside his world. The next breach came at 2:17 a.m. Ji-ho was half asleep when his monitors dipped. Not sharply. Subtly. Like someone easing their foot off a brake. Amara noticed first. She always did. Her head lifted. Her posture shifted. Her hand moved toward the call button. And then the door slid open. Not the nurses. Not security. A man in scrubs. Mask. Badge. Perfect disguise. Ji-ho's heart spiked. Not fear. Recognition. He'd seen that walk before. Predator. The man moved fast, straight toward the 4-pole. Amara didn't shout. Didn't freeze. Didn't hesitate. She moved. In one fluid motion, she stepped between them, grabbed the man's wrist, twisted, drove her elbow into his throat, and slammed him against the wall hard enough to rattle the monitors. The syringe clattered across the floor. The man reached for a concealed blade. Amara disarmed him before it cleared his sleeve. Her movements weren't defensive. They were efficient. Surgical. Controlled. She struck pressure points. Disabled joints. Cut off airflow. The man collapsed in under 8 seconds. The guards burst in after. Weapons raised. Breathing hard. Too late. Ji-ho stared at the ceiling, pulse racing, not from danger, but from disbelief. Because what he'd just witnessed was not survival instinct. It was training. Not improvised. Not panicked. Perfect. Amara stood over the attacker, chest steady, eyes cold, not frightened, assessing. Sedative, she said. Non-lethal dose. He was aiming for respiratory suppression. Slow death. Untraceable. The guards stared. One whispered, "How do you know that?" She didn't answer. Ji-ho didn't breathe. Because nothing about that was normal. Not her timing. Not her technique. Not her diagnosis. Not her calm. Not her silence afterward. They restrained the attacker. Dragged him out. The room fell quiet. Too quiet. Ji-ho felt it press against his ribs. "Leave us," he said to the guards. They hesitated. Then obeyed. The door sealed. Amara didn't look at him. She picked up the fallen syringe. Bagged it. Placed it neatly on the counter. "You're not a maid," Ji-ho said. Her shoulders didn't move. "I clean rooms," she replied. "I assist patients." "You neutralized a trained assassin in under 10 seconds. She turned then. Slowly. Calmly. "I protected someone in danger." "That's not what I said." Her eyes met his. Dark. Steady. Unflinching. "You're not a maid," he repeated. She exhaled softly. "You're not just a patient," she replied. "That's not an answer." "No," she agreed. "It isn't." "Who are you?" "Someone trying to keep you alive." "That's not a name." She walked closer, not defensively, not aggressively, deliberately, until she stood beside his bed. "You don't want my name," she said quietly. "You want safety." "I want the truth." "Not yet." Those 2 words landed harder than the attacker had. "Not yet." Ji-ho snapped. "Someone just tried to kill me in my own recovery suite. And they failed. Because of you." "Yes." "So tell me who you are." She didn't answer. Not immediately. Not verbally. She just looked at him long enough that he felt the weight of something unspoken settle between them. Then she said softly, "You're not ready." Something about that chilled him. "Ready for what?" he demanded. "For the truth." "You don't get to decide that." "I do," she said calmly. "If the truth puts you in more danger." Ji-ho stared at her. Not angry. Not confused. Terrified. Not of her. Of what she wasn't saying. "You're inside this," he said slowly. "Whoever's coming for me, you're connected." Her jaw tightened, just slightly. Connected to stopping them. That's not comforting. It's honest. He searched her face for cracks. There were none. No fear. No guilt. No deception he could see. Only restraint. And something heavier. Like grief. Like memory. Like war. "You're not leaving," he said suddenly. She blinked. "What?" "You're not going anywhere," he repeated. "Not until you explain." "I can't. I won't allow it." "You can't stop me." "I can." "How?" "I'll make it an order." She stared at him, really stared this time, then smiled faintly. "That's the first time you've tried to use power on me. And it won't work." "Why not?" "Because you don't want me gone." The truth of that hit him instantly. And he hated her for knowing it. "You saved my life," he said. "That doesn't give you control over it." "No," she said quietly. "But it gives me responsibility." "For what?" "For keeping you alive." "From who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she turned away. And in that silence, heavy, charged, Ji-ho felt the full weight of what had changed. Someone was hunting him. Someone had infiltrated his sanctuary. Someone wanted him dead before he recovered. And the only person who had stopped it, the only person who could, was a woman he didn't know. A woman who wasn't a maid. A woman who moved like a soldier. A woman who spoke like a strategist. A woman who knew his systems. His weaknesses. His rhythms. And somehow, his breathing. That night, security doubled. Perimeters tightened. Routes changed. But Ji-ho didn't feel safer. He felt exposed. Because power didn't matter if he couldn't see the enemy. And the enemy might already be inside his room. Across from him. Calm. Silent. Watching. Still, he didn't send her away. Didn't demand her removal. Didn't alert his network. Didn't interrogate her. Because every instinct told him she was hiding something. And every emotion told him she was protecting him from something worse. That contradiction tore at him. Kept him awake. Made him restless. And when he closed his eyes, the image replayed, her disarming the attacker, her precision, her calm, her lethal restraint. You could have killed him, he said quietly later. She met his gaze. I didn't. Why? Because death escalates things. What escalates things? War. That word hung in the air. Heavy. Cold. Real. Are we at war? He asked. She didn't answer. But her silence was enough. Directed Ari Love Beyond. Viewer connection moment. Before we go further, if you think Amara did the right thing by hiding the truth, or if you believe Ji-ho deserves full honesty, drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story has you hooked so far, make sure to like and subscribe to Ari Love Beyond, because what comes next changes everything. Now, back to the story. The next day, Ji-ho's condition stabilized. Too stabilized. Vitals perfect. Pain minimal. Recovery accelerated. Doctors were baffled. He's outperforming projections, one said. By weeks. Ji-ho knew why. Amara. She adjusted everything: food intake, hydration, sleep cycles, with uncanny precision. Are you medically trained? He asked casually. She smiled faintly. I observe patterns. You preempt them. I listen. To what? To your body. Not a lie. Not the truth. Something between. Then the surveillance escalated. A drone breach over the East Wing intercepted. An encrypted message intercepted by Ji-ho's cyber unit, redacted before decryption. An attempt to access his financial networks blocked. Every move was probing. Testing. Mapping. Someone was closing in. Ji-ho's head of security said it plainly. They're not rushing, he said. They're studying you. Ji-ho's gaze drifted to Amara. She was standing near the window again. Watching the street. Scanning. Predicting. You think they know about her? Ji-ho asked. Who? The maid. Security shrugged. Why would they? Ji-ho didn't answer. Because something told him they already did. That night, he asked her directly. Are they coming for you? He said. She looked at him. Why would you think that? Because they're escalating. People escalate for many reasons. Not like this. Silence. Then softly, I didn't bring this to you. But it followed you. She closed her eyes briefly. Maybe. That was the closest she'd come to admitting anything. You're not my enemy, he said. I know. Then why hide from me? Because knowing puts you in danger. I'm already in danger. Not like this. What does that mean? She met his gaze, something heavier in her eyes now. Some truths don't just change what you know, she said. They change what's possible. That unsettled him more than any threat ever had. Because Ji-ho didn't fear enemies. He feared unpredictability. And Amara was becoming exactly that. Still, when the next attack came, subtle, internal, silent, he trusted her without hesitation. The ventilation system rerouted airflow incorrectly, slow oxygen deprivation. Amara noticed. She shut it down manually. Stabilized him. Saved him. Again. Someone's inside your infrastructure, she said. Can you track them? Yes. When? Soon. How? She didn't answer. But he didn't push. Because he wanted her on his side. Even if he didn't know what side she was really on. Later that night, he broke. You could leave, he said quietly. I wouldn't stop you. She turned to him. I know. Then why stay? Because you're not safe. Because of me? No, she said softly. Because of who you are. What does that mean? It means someone decided you shouldn't survive this. And you decided otherwise. Yes. Why? She hesitated. For the first time. I don't abandon people. That answer hit deeper than any confession could have. You don't know me, he said. I know enough. What do you know? That you're afraid of dying alone. The words landed like a blade. You don't know that, he said sharply. She didn't flinch. You wake up 3 times a night, she said gently. You stop breathing when you dream. You hold your breath when the room is quiet. You reach for people in your sleep. He stared at her. How do you know that? Because I'm here. Too close. Too intimate. Too real. Silence swallowed the room. You see too much, he muttered. Someone has to. And you think that someone is you. She met his eyes. Yes. The room felt smaller. Not threatening. Charged. Like gravity had shifted. Then a guard burst in. Sir, we intercepted something. Ji-ho's focus snapped back. What? A message. Encrypted. From Eastern Circle. Content. Just coordinates. Ji-ho turned to Amara. She was already tense. Already alert. Already calculating. That's not a location, she said. That's a countdown. His chest tightened. To what? She looked at him. Direct. Unflinching. Your next attack. Silence crashed between them. You're sure? Yes. When? Soon. How soon? Her jaw tightened. Tonight. Ji-ho exhaled slowly. Then we're moving. No, she said instantly. He stared. What? They expect movement, she said. You stay. That's insane. That's strategy. You're not my strategist. No, she said. But I'm better. That should have angered him. Instead, it terrified him. Because she was right. And because he was starting to trust her more than his own people. Which meant she already had power. Real power. Not positional. Not hierarchical. Psychological. And that was more dangerous than any gun. The lights dimmed suddenly. Not power loss. Manual override. Security alarms stayed silent. Which meant someone had disabled them. Ji-ho's pulse spiked. Lock down the floor, he ordered. Already done, Amara said. How? I anticipated this. From what? Patterns. Whose? Theirs. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Not rushed. Not stealthy. Deliberate. Testing. Amara moved between Ji-ho and the door without thinking. Protective. Instinctive. Real. You're not armed, he whispered. I don't need to be. The door handle shifted. Then stopped. Then silence. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. The footsteps retreated. Security reported nothing. No breach. No attacker. No damage. False alarm. Except Amara didn't relax. They're mapping, she said. Testing response time. How do you know? Because I would. He stared at her. You would. She didn't answer. But that was answer enough. You think like them, he said slowly. She met his gaze. Because I've fought people like them. You're not answering my question. No, she said quietly. I'm avoiding it. Why? Because once you know. She trailed off. Once I know what? You won't look at me the same. Something about that felt heavier than danger. You don't know that, he said. I do. Silence stretched. Charged. Thick. Then Ji-ho said it. Tell me who you really are. She turned toward the window. City lights reflected in her eyes. Not yet, she said. And for the first time since waking from the coma, Ji-ho didn't argue. Because something inside him already knew. Whatever she was hiding was bigger than him. Bigger than his enemies. Bigger than his empire. And whatever it was already here. After the second attempted breach, Ji-ho was no longer allowed to be alone. Not by doctors. Not by security. Not by anyone. But somehow, despite the doubled guard rotations, biometric locks, encrypted corridors, and internal lockdown protocols, despite the fortress built around his body, the one constant in the room wasn't technology. It was Amara. She was officially assigned to him full-time. Unofficially, she already had been. She arrived before sunrise. Left after midnight. Slept in a chair beside the door. Learned the exact rhythm of his breathing when pain crept in. Learned the pitch of his voice when exhaustion disguised itself as irritation. And Ji-ho learned the sound of her footsteps. He could tell when it was her long before the door opened. Not because of noise, she barely made any, but because something inside him relaxed the second she crossed the threshold. That realization unsettled him more than any threat ever had. The nights were the worst. Not because of pain. Because of silence. The machines hummed. The lights dimmed. The guards outside rotated shifts. The city slept. And Ji-ho lay awake, trapped inside a body that still didn't fully belong to him. Amara sat in the chair beside the bed, usually reading medical journals, engineering papers, sometimes books in languages he couldn't identify. She never scrolled mindlessly, never watched videos, never slept deeply. Always alert, always listening. One night, after hours of silence, he finally broke it. "Do you ever sleep?" She glanced up. "When necessary." "When is it necessary?" "When staying awake becomes dangerous." "To who?" "To me." He watched her for a moment. "You don't trust sleep," he said. She considered that. "No," she admitted. "Why?" She didn't answer. But she didn't deflect either. Just returned to her book. The air thickened. Then, quietly, "Why don't you sleep?" "Because every time I close my eyes," he said, "I wake up thinking I'm still paralyzed." She closed the book, turned fully toward him. "I know," she said softly. He frowned. "How?" "Your breathing changes. You reach for something. You panic before you realize you can move." He looked away. "I hate that," he muttered. "That you're afraid? That I was strong. And now? Now I'm waiting for my body to catch up." Silence. Then, quietly, "Strength isn't absence of fear." He glanced at her. "What is it then?" "Moving anyway." The simplicity of that landed harder than any speech could have. "Easy to say," he muttered. "You're doing it." "How?" "You're still here." That unsettled him. He hadn't framed survival as movement. He'd framed it as delay. But she spoke like someone who had learned otherwise. "Amara," he said suddenly. "Yes." "Do you think people ever stop waiting for the next betrayal?" She didn't answer immediately. "I think people stop waiting," she said slowly. "But they never stop bracing." "Is that better?" "No." "Then why do it?" "Because sometimes someone gives you a reason not to." The words hung between them. Unspoken weight. Unacknowledged meaning. Ji-ho stared at the ceiling. "Everyone who's ever been close to me," he said quietly, "has eventually wanted something." She didn't interrupt. "Money. Power. Access. Safety. Status. All of them," he continued. "Even family." Her jaw tightened slightly at that. "You?" he asked. "What about me? What do you want?" She met his gaze. "I want you alive." "That's not enough." "It is." "Why?" She hesitated, just long enough for him to notice. "Because dead men don't get second chances." He studied her. "Is that something you learned?" "Yes." He didn't ask how. That night he slept. Not deeply, but without jolting awake. For the first time since the coma, he didn't dream of being trapped. He dreamed of quiet. As days passed, dependency formed before either of them acknowledged it. He waited for her before eating, asked her opinion before taking medication, delayed physical therapy sessions until she returned from breaks. It wasn't control. It wasn't dominance. It was instinct. And when she left the room, even briefly, the world felt louder, sharper, less anchored. He hated that. Hated needing someone. Hated the vulnerability of noticing. But he noticed anyway. "You're doing that thing again," she said one afternoon. "What thing?" "Watching the door." He didn't deny it. "When will you be back?" he asked. "In 10 minutes." He exhaled. "Why does that matter?" "Because I prefer knowing." "Why?" He stared at the ceiling. "Because I trust you." She froze. Not visibly. But something in her posture shifted. "That's not smart," she said quietly. "Why?" "Because you don't know me." "I know enough." "What do you know?" "That you've saved my life 3 times." "That's circumstance." "That you haven't betrayed me." "That's timing." "That you stay when you could leave." Silence. "That's choice." She didn't respond. But she didn't argue. Outside the room, Ji-ho's empire was failing. Not collapsing. Unraveling. Subtly. Executives stopped answering calls. Financial transfers stalled. Entire operations froze overnight without explanation. 2 of his closest lieutenants vanished within 48 hours, not killed, gone. Untraceable. The doctor who oversaw his rehabilitation resigned suddenly. No notice. No reason. Another was arrested on bribery charges. The third disappeared. His security chief stopped trusting his own men. Someone's flipping people, he said grimly. Quietly, Ji-ho felt the walls closing in. What about the syndicate? He asked. Eastern Circle, the chief said. They're consolidating territory. And my people? Splintering. Why? Because they think you're dying. Ji-ho clenched his jaw. They're preparing for a vacuum. Yes. He glanced at Amara, who stood near the window as always. She was listening. He knew she was. Tell me something, he said. She turned. If I die, what happens? To what? To everything. She considered that. Chaos, she said. Then reorganization. Then someone else fills the space. Someone worse. Usually. He sighed. That's comforting. I wasn't trying to comfort you. What were you trying to do? Prepare you. For death. For reality. Which is. That power doesn't disappear, she said. It just moves. He studied her. You speak like someone who's seen that. She didn't answer. Later that night, he heard two guards arguing outside his room. She's not cleared, one said. She's assigned, the other replied. By who? By him. You really think she's just a maid? Ji-ho closed his eyes. People talk, he said later. I know. Do you care? No. Why not? Because suspicion is cheaper than investigation. And investigation? Costs too much. Why? Because people only investigate what threatens them. And you? She looked at him. I threaten people. The way she said it wasn't arrogant. It was factual. That chilled him. One night, during a power flicker, minor, localized, instantly restored, Ji-ho's monitors reset. Not dangerously, but enough to wake him. Amara was already on her feet. Hands moving. Checking lines. Verifying flow. Everything's stable, she said. I didn't call you. I know. How did you know? She didn't answer. Amara, he said softly. How did you know? I felt it. That's not an answer. It is. Not to me. She hesitated. Your breathing changed. Before the alarm? Yes. Before the monitors? Yes. That's not normal. No, she agreed. It isn't. Then tell me. Not yet. The familiar words struck harder this time. Not yet when, he asked. When it's safe. When is that? When you're no longer a target. I'll always be a target. Then, later. He laughed bitterly. You're impossible. Yes. But you're here. Yes. And you're saving me. Yes. Then why won't you trust me? She met his eyes. Because trust isn't the same as honesty. What does that mean? It means I can protect you without exposing you. To what? Things you don't need to carry. I already carry everything. No, she said softly. You carry responsibility. That's different. He stared at her. You're not protecting me from danger, he said. You're protecting me from knowledge. Yes. That's worse. No, she said. It's kinder. He didn't believe that. But part of him wanted to. As his external world collapsed, his internal one narrowed. To the room. To the bed. To the chair beside it. To her. Everything else felt distant. Abstract. Noise. When his head of security reported another betrayal, a lieutenant selling routes to Eastern Circle, Ji-ho felt numb. But when Amara was gone longer than expected one afternoon, he panicked. Not visibly. Not outwardly. But inside, his chest tightened. His breathing shortened. His thoughts spiraled. Where is she? Is she safe? Did something happen? He hated himself for that. Hated the weakness. Hated the attachment. But when she returned calm, unharmed, the relief hit so hard it made him dizzy. You're late, he said, trying to mask it. I know. Where were you? Fixing something. What? A problem. Whose? Ours. That unsettled him. What problem? One you don't need to worry about. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. You're not my guardian. No, she said. But I'm guarding you. From what? From what's coming. That word again. Coming. Always coming. Never arriving. Like something looming just beyond sight. Do you ever get tired? He asked suddenly. Yes. Of what? Being careful. Why are you careful? Because carelessness gets people killed. You speak like that's personal. She went quiet. Then softly, it is. That was the first crack. The first hint of something beneath her composure. You don't have to tell me, he said. I know. But you could. Yes. But you won't. No. Why? Because the past doesn't make people safer. Then what does? The present. Then tell me about now. She looked at him. You're recovering. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? I mean, how are you? The question surprised her. He saw it. I'm fine, she said automatically. That's not an answer. She sighed. Why do you care? Because you're the only thing in this room that feels real. Silence. Then, softly, that's not healthy. Neither is isolation. She considered that. You're not isolated. Everyone in this building works for me, he said. Except you. She met his eyes. And that matters? Yes. Why? Because you're the only one here who doesn't need me. The truth of that stunned her. He saw it. And yet, he continued, you stay. She swallowed. Because you do need me. Yes. And I won't abandon that. The word abandon landed heavily. People abandon you, he said. Yes. And you don't want to do that to me. No. Why? Because no one deserves that. He studied her face. You speak like someone who's been left. She didn't deny it. She just said, some people don't get the luxury of being stayed with. Did you? No. The silence after that was thick. Dense. Unspoken history filling the room. He wanted to ask more. But something told him not to. Not yet. That night, he woke screaming. Not from pain. From memory. Dreamless panic. The kind that comes from buried things surfacing without warning. Amara was at his side instantly. Hand steady. Voice low. You're here, she said. You're safe. He didn't respond. His chest heaved. His eyes were wide but unfocused. Ji-ho, she said gently. Look at me. He didn't. Ji-ho. She touched his hand. He flinched, then froze, then relaxed. His breathing slowed. His eyes focused. On her. Where am I? He whispered. In your room. What day is it? Tuesday. Am I alive? Yes. Are you real? She blinked. Yes. His grip tightened around her hand. Don't go. I'm not going anywhere. Promise. I promise. He closed his eyes. Still holding her hand. People leave, he murmured. Everyone leaves. I'm here. For how long? She hesitated. Then said, as long as you need. He swallowed. That's not forever. No, she admitted. But it's now. That was enough. He fell asleep holding her hand. She didn't pull away. She didn't move. She didn't sleep. She just stayed. In the morning, he pretended not to remember. But he did. He remembered everything. The fear. The vulnerability. The way her hand had grounded him. The way her voice had anchored him. And he hated that it had worked. Hated how much it mattered. But he didn't push her away. He didn't joke it off. He didn't dismiss it. He just said, quietly, thank you. For what? For staying. She nodded. That was all. But something shifted after that. She sat closer. He spoke more. They shared silences that didn't feel awkward. Just full. He told her stories not of power but of childhood. Of growing up in violence. Of learning that survival came before morality. Of realizing too late that power didn't equal control. I thought fear was respect, he said one afternoon. Turns out it's just distance. And now? She asked. Now I think respect is someone staying when they don't have to. She met his gaze. Is that what you think I'm doing? Yes. She didn't respond. But her silence felt like agreement. Outside, everything continued collapsing. Another lieutenant defected. Another asset vanished. Financial pipelines were severed. Routes compromised. Safe houses burned. Ji-ho's empire was bleeding. And he couldn't touch any of it. He couldn't command. Couldn't retaliate. Couldn't move. He was trapped inside a body still learning to obey him, while the world he'd built unraveled beyond his reach. And yet, inside that room, he felt safer than he ever had. That contradiction terrified him. Because safety built on one person wasn't safety. It was vulnerability. And he knew better than anyone what happened to vulnerable men. Amara, he said quietly one evening. If something happens to you. She turned. What? She asked. I don't know what I'd do. Her eyes softened. Then, let's make sure nothing happens to me. That's not how the world works. No, she said. But it's how preparation works. Are you preparing for something? Yes. For what? For you surviving what's coming. He stared at her. You keep saying that. Because it's true. What's coming? She didn't answer. But she looked at the door. At the walls. At the cameras. Like someone expecting the storm before the clouds arrived. That night, Ji-ho fell asleep early. Exhausted. Worn down. Emotionally raw. Amara sat beside him, watching the steady rise and fall of his chest. Listening to his breathing. Memorizing the rhythm. Protecting it. She stood to leave, just briefly, to check the hallway. Then paused. Turned back. Looked at him. Really looked. Powerless. Vulnerable. Alive. Her expression broke. Just for a second. Just enough. She leaned down. Pressed a gentle kiss to his forehead. Soft. Careful. Unseen. Then whispered, barely audible. I'm sorry. And left the room. Ji-ho didn't go looking for the truth. The truth found him. It came disguised as a glitch, a minor security fault flagged in the internal server cluster at 3:11 a.m. His cyber unit dismissed it as noise. His head of security waved it off as system fatigue. But Ji-ho had learned to trust patterns. And something about this one felt wrong. He waited until the room was quiet. Until the guards changed shifts. Until Amara stepped out to retrieve his medication. Then he accessed the system himself. Not from the central terminal, too visible, but from a secondary encrypted node embedded behind his biometric monitoring interface. A feature he designed years ago for situations exactly like this. Situations where you couldn't trust your own walls. The interface flickered. Then loaded. He bypassed standard security. Entered his personal override. And there it was. A hidden directory. Not tagged. Not indexed. Not visible without administrator clearance. He opened it. Files populated instantly. Audio logs. Visual reports. Encrypted text packets. Timeline metadata stretching back months. Before the coma. Before the attack. Before Amara ever entered his life. His pulse quickened. The first file autoplayed. Her voice filled the room. Not the soft, measured tone she used with him. Not the gentle cadence. Not the warmth. This was clipped. Professional. Controlled. Subject's condition remained stable. Cognitive recovery faster than anticipated. Emotional vulnerability increasing. Ji-ho's breath hitched. He clicked the next file. He trusts me. Too much. Another. He's isolating. Dependency forming. Monitoring emotional attachment threshold. Another. I can't recommend extraction yet. Ji-ho's vision blurred. His chest tightened. Not from fear. From disbelief. He scrolled. Dozens of files. Weekly reports. Behavioral analyses. Psychological evaluations. Threat assessments. Medical telemetry. Room schematics. Security vulnerabilities. His sleep patterns. His breathing rhythms. His nightmares. His trust. Documented. Categorized. Measured. Then he saw the name. Not Amara. Agent Mara Okoye. Affiliation. Private Strategic Intelligence Division. Black Tier Operations. His heart stopped. Not metaphorically. Physically. The monitors spiked. He felt it, the sudden collapse of blood pressure, the way reality tilted, but he didn't care. He opened another file. Surveillance footage. From inside his room. Different angles. Different days. Her adjusting equipment. Her whispering into a concealed mic in her sleeve. Her entering encrypted commands on a wrist console he'd never noticed. Her watching him. Always watching him. I wasn't supposed to care, her voice said in another log. But he's not what they think. Ji-ho slammed the tablet onto the bed. His hands shook. His chest burned. Everything he thought was real was surveillance. Everything he thought was care was assessment. Every touch. Every word. Every look. Scripted. Measured. Monitored. The door opened. Amara stepped in. She froze instantly. Not because of his expression. Because of the tablet. Because of the screen. Because of the file names still glowing. Her face didn't drain of color. It didn't shift into panic. But something in her eyes closed. Like a door. How long? He asked quietly. She didn't answer. How long have you been lying to me? Ji-ho. Don't, he snapped. Not my name. Not my tone. Not your voice. Don't. She swallowed. I didn't lie. You recorded my nightmares. Silence. You tracked my breathing. Silence. You reported my psychological state. Silence. You mapped my room. Silence. You monitored my trust. Silence. You were never a maid. Her jaw tightened. No. What were you? She hesitated. Amara, he said sharply. What were you? Embedded. The word sliced through him. For who? He demanded. She looked away. For a private intelligence division contracted by multiple international entities. You were sent to spy on me. I was sent to evaluate you. What's the difference? Intent. You were sent to watch me die. No. Then why embed in my recovery suite? To assess whether you were still a threat. To who? People more powerful than you. He laughed bitterly. That's not possible. She met his gaze. Yes, she said. It is. You monitored me. Yes. You studied me. Yes. You manipulated me. No. Don't lie. I didn't manipulate you, she said. I observed you. You let me trust you. I didn't force that. You encouraged it. I didn't stop it. That's the same thing. No, she said quietly. It isn't. He clenched his jaw. Every moment I thought was real, he said. Every time you held my hand. Every time you told me I wasn't alone. Every time you stayed. It was real. Then why report it? Because I had to. Had to. Yes. Why? Because it was my assignment. He stared at her. You were sent here to evaluate whether I deserve to live. Her eyes darkened. I was sent here to evaluate whether you should remain a strategic variable. Don't sanitize it. I'm not. Did you ever plan to tell me? Yes. When? When it was safe. For who? For you. That's convenient. No, she said. It's cruel. He looked away. His chest ached. Not physically. Emotionally. Like something had been ripped out and left bleeding. You kissed my forehead, he said softly. You whispered to me while I slept. Her breath hitched. I thought I was dying, he continued. I thought you cared. I did. Did. I do. Then why record it? Because my job didn't stop when my feelings started. That's not an answer. That's the truth. Then your truth makes you a liar. She flinched. I didn't fake anything. You faked everything. No. Yes. No. Yes. She stepped closer. Ji-ho, look at me. Why? So you can log my eye movement too. I stopped reporting. He froze. What? I stopped reporting months ago. That's a lie. It's not. You expect me to believe that? Yes. Why? Because you can check. He hesitated. Then pulled the tablet back toward him. Scrolled. Filtered. The logs stopped abruptly. 3 months ago. No reports. No transmissions. No uploads. Nothing. What does this mean? He asked. It means I broke protocol. Why? Because they wanted me to escalate. To what? To extraction. What does that mean? To removal. Removal of who? You. His stomach dropped. They wanted you dead, she said softly. Why? Because someone inside your empire paid for it. The words detonated. What? Someone close to you. His pulse thundered. Who? I didn't know at first. Then I found out. Who? She hesitated. Your brother. The room tilted. Not metaphorically. Physically. Ji-ho's vision blurred. His heart slammed against his ribs. You're lying. I'm not. He would never. He orchestrated the attack that put you in a coma. No. He sold your medical vulnerabilities. No. He redirected your security. No. He arranged the vehicle. No. You were never supposed to survive. The words sliced through him. He shook his head. You're manipulating me. I'm telling you the truth. You're lying to protect yourself. I'm risking everything to protect you. You lied to me for months. Yes. And now I'm supposed to trust you? I don't expect that. Then what do you expect? Survival. Mine? Yours. Silence crashed between them. You destroyed me, he whispered. Her face crumpled. I never meant to. You let me need you. I didn't know I'd become what you needed. You watched me become dependent. Yes. And you stayed. Yes. Why? Because you weren't the monster they described. And what did they describe? A sociopath. A tyrant. A warlord. And what did you find? A broken man trying to breathe. The words hurt more than insults ever could. Get out, he said. She didn't move. I said get out. I can't. You can. I won't. I don't want you here. Yes, she said softly. You do. No. Yes. Don't tell me what I want. You don't want me gone, she said. You want the lie gone. That's not the same. Yes, she said. It is. Leave, he snapped. She stayed. He turned away. His chest heaved. He felt exposed. Weak. Humiliated. Not because she'd betrayed him. Because she'd seen him. And catalogued it. Measured it. Reduced him to data. You were sent to judge me, he said. Yes. And what was your verdict? Inconclusive. Why? Because you didn't fit. Fit what? The narrative. What narrative? That power corrupts absolutely. And you? I've seen it, she said quietly. Over and over. And me? You're different. How? You hate what you've become. That doesn't make me good. No, she said. But it makes you human. You reported that? No. Why not? Because they don't pay for humanity. You protected me. Yes. Why? Because you didn't deserve to die. According to who? According to me. The room fell silent. You sabotaged the threats, he said slowly. Yes. You intercepted attacks. Yes. You misdirected assassins. Yes. You neutralized operatives. Yes. You disobeyed your mission. Yes. And why? Because somewhere along the way, you stopped being my assignment. And became what? My responsibility. The word landed heavily. You evaluated me, he said bitterly. What was your report? She met his gaze. That you're dangerous. He laughed hollowly. There it is. And that you're not evil. That's your defense? No, she said softly. That's my reason. Reason for what? For staying. For lying. For choosing you. That silenced him. Choosing me over who? Over them. Over your agency. Over my life. He stared at her. Don't dramatize. I'm not. You'd throw away everything for me? I already did. Silence thickened. Why? He whispered. Because you trusted me. That's not a reason. It is when no one else ever has. You didn't trust me. No, she admitted. But I learned to. Then why keep the lie? Because the truth would have put you in danger. How? Because knowing makes you a target. I already am. No, she said. Not like this. What does that mean? It means once you know who I am, the people who sent me will consider you compromised. Compromised how? Connected. To you. Yes. And what does that mean? It means they stop observing. And start eliminating. Silence slammed into him. You're saying they'll kill me because I know you. Yes. And you didn't tell me, to protect me. Yes. And now you're telling me, why? Because it's no longer preventable. What? They've activated Phase 3. What's Phase 3? Extraction. His blood went cold. Extraction of who? You. When? Tonight. The word detonated. Tonight? Yes. Who? My former handlers. Where? Already inside the perimeter. You're lying. I'm not. How do you know? Because I intercepted the signal. Where? From a dead drop node embedded in your ventilation system. You're insane. Ji-ho. Stop. He closed his eyes. His mind raced. Nothing felt real. Not the room. Not the machines. Not the woman standing in front of him. Not the memories. Not the emotions. Not the trust. Not the betrayal. Not the fear. You're telling me everything I thought was collapsing, he whispered, was actually orchestrated. Yes. You're telling me my brother tried to kill me. Yes. You're telling me the woman I trusted with my life was sent to evaluate whether I deserved it? Yes. You're telling me the only person who's kept me alive might be the reason I die? No. Then what are you telling me? That we're out of time. He opened his eyes. They're coming for you tonight, she whispered. Directed Ari Love Beyond, viewer connection moment. Before what happens next, do you believe Amara's choices were justified, or do you think Ji-ho deserves full honesty no matter the risk? Comment your thoughts below, and if you're hooked into this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us on Ari Love Beyond, because the next act changes everything. They didn't have time to argue. Not after the words tonight landed between them like a loaded weapon. Ji-ho stared at Amara, breath shallow, pulse roaring in his ears. You're saying they're already inside? Yes. Who? Black Tier Extraction Unit. Your people. My former people. What do they want? You. Alive? She hesitated. That wasn't the contract. Silence crashed. Then why extract me at all? Because dead men can't be studied. And alive ones can. Yes. Then what happens after extraction? They decide whether you stay alive. Ji-ho's chest tightened. And you're still standing here? Yes. Why aren't you running? Because I'm not their objective. Then what are you? The liability. The lights flickered. Not power loss. System override. Emergency lights hummed to life. Red strips illuminated the corridors outside his door. Lockdown mode. Amara moved instantly. Get dressed, she said. Now. What? Shoes. Jacket. Now. I can barely walk. You can stand. That's not the same. She crossed the room, knelt in front of him, hands firm but gentle. Ji-ho, listen to me. You are not staying here. Security is compromised. Doctors gone. Guards. Some loyal. Some not. Then how? We run. The words stunned him. You don't run, he said. She met his gaze. I do when it's necessary. The door locks disengaged. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Amara helped him to his feet. Pain flared. White hot. But adrenaline drowned it. Lean on me, she said. I won't slow you down. Yes, you will. She pulled his arm over her shoulder. And I'll carry you anyway. The corridor outside was chaos. Red lights. Security shouting. Doors sealing. An alarm pulsed low and constant. Not the shrill of emergency, the controlled pulse of a silent lockdown. Which way? Ji-ho whispered. West stairwell, she said. Elevators are dead. How do you know? I helped design the fallback routes. You designed my building? No, she said. I studied it. They moved fast. Not running. Moving. Calculated. Amara navigated corners before threats appeared. Stopped before blind spots. Redirected before obstacles. Twice, armed men crossed their path. Twice, Amara redirected them with hand signals, voice commands, or shadowed routes. How do you know their movements? Ji-ho whispered. Because I trained some of them. The words chilled him. You trained the people trying to kill me? I trained people to extract high-value assets. And I'm one of them. Yes. Silence thickened. Then why aren't they stopping us? They don't know I'm compromised. Yet? They reached the stairwell. Amara opened the door, then froze. Wait. What? She listened. Closed her eyes. Then pulled him back. Footsteps thundered past. Not guards. Operators. Precision. Heavy boots. Suppressed weapons. Extraction team, she whispered. How many? At least 6. We can't outrun that. No. Then what? We outthink them. She guided him through a maintenance corridor. Unmarked. Unlit. Bare concrete walls. Dust. Old wiring. They're tracking biometric signals, she whispered. Your heart monitor is broadcasting. Then shut it down. I can't. Then leave me. She stopped. Turned. Her eyes hardened. No. This isn't about you. Yes, it is. This is about survival. Yes, she said. Mine. Yours. Together. I cannot run trained operatives. You don't have to. Then how do we win? We don't. The honesty of that stunned him. Then what are we doing? Buying time. For what? For you to get out. And you? She didn't answer. They reached a service elevator, dead. Then a security door, sealed. Then a maintenance hatch. Open. She pulled him through. They emerged into the underground parking level. Cold. Dark. Empty. Emergency lights flickered overhead. You have a car? He asked. No. Then why? Because there's a tunnel. Where? Below. She led him toward a restricted access ramp. The air grew colder. Footsteps echoed behind them. Amara, he whispered. They're close. I know. Then why slow down? Because they're not chasing you. He froze. What? They're chasing me. His stomach dropped. What do you mean? You were never the primary objective. Then what am I? Leverage. Silence hit like a blow. They can't extract me without you, she continued. I'm the compromised asset. And I'm the bait. Yes. Then why try to get me out? Because if you escape, they lose leverage. And you? I become expendable. You planned this. Yes. You planned to sacrifice yourself. I planned to protect you. That's not the same. It is to me. They reached the tunnel access door. She keyed the code. It opened. Darkness stretched below. Cold air rushed out. Go, she said. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. No. Ji-ho. No. I don't need your permission. I don't need your sacrifice. This isn't about what you need. This is about what we need. Which is you alive. And you dead? I won't die. You just said you're expendable. Not the same thing. You're lying. I'm trained. That doesn't make you immortal. No, she admitted. But it makes me dangerous. Then come with me. I can't. Why? Because they'll follow us. And if you stay? They stop. You don't know that. Yes, she said softly. I do. Footsteps echoed louder. Shadows shifted at the end of the ramp. Red laser dots flickered across the walls. They're here, she whispered. Then we fight. You can barely stand. Then we die together. She grabbed his face. Not rough. Not gentle. Desperate. No. Don't decide for me. I'm deciding for us. That's not fair. Neither is war. Then don't make this one. Her eyes softened. I didn't choose this. But you're choosing me. Yes. And you think I won't choose you? Her breath hitched. You can't, she whispered. Why not? Because I won't survive if you don't. He stared at her. What? I can survive 1,000 operators, she said quietly. I can't survive losing you. The words slammed into him. You love me, he whispered. She closed her eyes. Yes. Silence crashed between them. Danger. Emotion. Truth. All colliding at once. You don't get to die for me, he said. I don't get to watch you die. I won't. You're bleeding. He looked down. Blood seeped from his side, reopened incision. Adrenaline had masked it. Pain surged. His legs wobbled. Amara caught him. See? She whispered. This is why. No, he gasped. This is why we go together. She shook her head. They won't chase you. How do you know? Because I'm the one they want. That doesn't make me safe. No, she said. But it makes you possible. Footsteps closed in. Shadows flooded the ramp. Amara, he whispered. Don't. She leaned her forehead against his. You said people always leave, she murmured. This is me staying. She kissed him. Not soft. Not gentle. Not careful. Desperate. Final. Everything she couldn't say in words. Everything he couldn't lose. Then she pulled away. Pushed him toward the tunnel. Go, she said. No. Ji-ho. I won't. She reached into her jacket. Pulled out a small device. Pressed it into his palm. What is this? Signal jammer, she said. Short range. 2 minutes of blackout. What for? For you to disappear. And you? I'll handle them. How? Like I always do. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. I won't leave you. She met his eyes. You already trust me, she said. Trust me now. His throat closed. Amara. She cupped his face. You changed me, she whispered. Do you know that? No. I didn't believe in choosing people over missions. And now? And now I don't believe in missions. Then come with me. I can't. Why? Because someone has to stop them. And that someone is you? Yes. And I'm supposed to live with that? Yes. No. Ji-ho. I won't. You have to. Why? Because if you stay. She swallowed. They'll kill you. Silence crashed. You said extraction, he whispered. They changed the contract, she said. When I went rogue. They're here to kill me? Yes. And you're standing between them and me. Yes. And you want me to run? Yes. And you expect me to live with that? Yes. Footsteps thundered closer. Voices shouted. Contact. Visual. Red dots crawled up the walls. Amara, he whispered. I love you. She froze. Her eyes widened. Don't, she breathed. I do. Don't say that. Why? Because it makes this harder. It's already impossible. She shook her head. Ji-ho. I trust you, he said. More than anyone. More than myself. More than my empire. More than my life. Her breath shuddered. And I love you. Silence. Heavy. Final. She leaned in. Pressed her forehead to his. I love you too, she whispered. Then she shoved him backward into the tunnel. He stumbled. Caught himself. Turned. She was already stepping away. No, he shouted. She slammed the door. Sealed it. Locking him inside. Amara, he screamed. The door didn't move. He pounded on it. Amara. On the other side, she turned toward the approaching operatives. Hands raised. Weaponless. Calm. Controlled. Eyes blazing. I'm here, she said loudly. You don't need him. Operators flooded the ramp. Guns trained on her. She didn't flinch. He's gone, she continued. Extraction failed. Stand down, a voice commanded. She didn't. You want me, she said. Not him. Get on your knees. No. Final warning. She smiled faintly. Relax, she said. I'm not resisting. Then she raised her hands slowly. Let them cuff her. Ji-ho screamed from the other side of the door. Pounded. Bled. Collapsed. He watched through the small reinforced glass panel as they surrounded her. As they restrained her. As they dragged her away. She turned her head. Met his eyes. Held his gaze. One last time. And mouthed one word. Live. Then she was gone. Directed Ari Love Beyond. Viewer connection moment. If Amara's sacrifice just shattered you the way it shattered Ji-ho, let us know in the comments. And if you're still here, still breathing through this story, hit like, subscribe, and stay with us on Ari Love Beyond, because what comes next changes everything. Ji-ho didn't scream. Didn't collapse. Didn't break. He stood in the tunnel long after Amara was gone, blood seeping through his shirt, knuckles raw from pounding the door, and felt something inside him harden into something new. Not rage. Resolve. Within 48 hours, everything changed. Not publicly. Quietly. Surgically. The syndicate behind the extraction attempt collapsed from the inside, accounts frozen, leaders exposed, assets seized, alliances shattered. Ji-ho's surviving loyalists resurfaced, pulling threads he'd laid years ago but never thought he'd use. Because he never wanted war. But he would finish one. Then he found his brother. Not with a gun. Not with an army. With evidence. Medical records. Financial trails. Surveillance logs. The entire operation that put Ji-ho into a coma, orchestrated by blood. You were afraid I'd replace you, Ji-ho said quietly across the table. His brother laughed bitterly. You already had. Ji-ho could have killed him. Instead, he handed the evidence to the authorities. Fear made you my enemy, Ji-ho said. Justice makes you irrelevant. And for the first time in his life, he walked away from vengeance. Amara was held offshore, black site facility, unlisted, unmarked. Ji-ho reached her not with guns, but with leverage. International warrants. Media pressure. Legal exposure. Truth. She was released at dawn. Weak. Bruised. Alive. They met at the edge of the harbor, cold wind, gray sky, waves crashing against steel. She didn't speak. Neither did he. Then he stepped forward and pulled her into his arms. She exhaled, like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. I thought I lost you, he whispered. You didn't, she said softly. You just chose to live. He pulled back. I love you, he said. Not because you saved me. Not because you stayed. But because you chose me. She swallowed. I didn't think I deserved you. Neither did I. They laughed quietly, painfully, honestly. Days later, Ji-ho walked publicly for the first time. Not as a boss. Not as a kingpin. But as a man leaving. He dismantled his empire piece by piece, sold assets, closed operations, burned bridges, not violently, but completely. Power no longer interested him. Freedom did. Amara turned down every agency offer. Every contract. Every shadowed future. I'm done being deployed, she said. I want to choose. And she chose him. Not the man he was. The man he became. They didn't disappear. They didn't hide. They didn't pretend the past didn't exist. They just stopped letting it decide their future. And for the first time in his life, Ji-ho wasn't feared. He was known. And for the first time in hers, Amara wasn't watching someone. She was standing beside them. Direct hit Ari Love Beyond, closing moment. If this story moved you, if Amara and Ji-ho's journey stayed with you, leave a comment below and let us know your favorite moment. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us on Ari Love Beyond for more stories where love changes everything. Because sometimes the person sent to destroy you ends up saving your life instead.